Exodus out of Egypt, but it May 15, 1948 happened. How come they ain't celebrating this point? You know, because this is what they're saying. The saying is, we celebrate the Passover now of the Exodus out of the land of Egypt, but it will no more. We're not going to say that no more. It's going to be when we come out of here.
Right.
This one right here. So they're still on a Passover that they have no idea that if May 15, 1948 happened, then they're on the wrong Passover.
But I think if you do pose that question, they will probably say that they're waiting on it too. That they know that, you know, that's happened in the past. They're waiting on their Exodus. But the more important question that I would ask them is the land of the north, and why the land of the north, and how it became to be that the Most High is prophesying about that specific area first, right? Because of the 12 tribes, the majority of all of our tribes are here in one place. Yes, they're down in Central and South America, and over in the Caribbean, and over in London, and over in Europe, and this and that, and all scattered around. But the majority of all of the 12 tribes are here in America.
Right.
There's a presence, there's a footprint of all of us here.
Yeah.
From Mexicans to the Peruvians to the Guatemalans to the Benjamites everyone is here. So this is why the Most High, and then you piggyback that with this being the daughter of Babylon and everything else that comes with it. That's why this is going to be that place where the major exodus, the Most High is going to deliver us, as well as the other lands, and then put us back in the land that the Most High gave to our fathers, which is the land of Israel. All right. So this is the prophecy. This is that salvation that Yahushua is going to bring to us, a spiritual as well as a physical salvation for the children of Israel. All right. Now, in order for that to happen, or prior to that happening, it says in verse 16, "Behold, I will send for many fishers, saith the Lord, and they shall fish them." Right? So they're supposed to fish them. Who are going to be fishing? The people are going to catch or fish men. Right? And what's the purpose of us fishing the men? Right? The same way Simon and John and James, the Zebedee brothers, went out and tried to catch different types of fish, whether it be tilapia, porgies, this, that, and the third, to eat for their own bodily consumption. Now you got to go out there and try to get the spiritual bait, that spiritual food to put into the fish, which are the people, the men. Right? So that same wisdom that you had, that same practice that you knew, I can't use this bait for that fish, and I can't use that bait for that fish, I got to use something special. So you got to be able to observe the people, know who you're dealing with, and put that right bait out there. Right? If I'm dealing with someone who's in the Baptist church, I got to use the Baptist bait. If I'm dealing with someone in the Catholic church, I got to use the Catholic bait. If I'm dealing with someone in Islam, I got to use the Islamic bait. If I'm dealing with someone who's all cut up in the college and collegiate affair, I got to use that bait. But it all rolls back into Yahushua. Right? It all rolls back into Yahushua. Right? Our salvation. So whatever it is, however I'm bringing it out, however I'm teaching, the emphasis and the onus is still going to come back to Yahushua. Right? Whether I'm talking about, you know, the archdiocese of this, and why is that on your diploma, or whatever it may be, just to get them attentive, just to capture their mind and say, oh, let me hear what you're talking about, brother. Let me hear. Now I'm here. I'm hooked. Feed me. Let me hear what you got.
I'm hooked. I like that.
Right. And then you fill them with the Spirit to the best of your ability. Right? Hey, and as a fisherman, sometimes, you know, you got to throw the fish back. Right? Sometimes you catch the fish and it ain't the right fish, you got to throw the fish back. So when we out there teaching and we putting out that bait and that person is standing before us, but they're not receiving the word and not in tune with the Spirit, you got to say, okay, well, let them go. Dust off your foot and say, all right, well, it's not for you. I'm still throwing it out there. I'm still casting. And you're reeling and you're reeling, you're reeling, and you're reeling, you're reeling. You catch it and you're looking at it, you're dealing with it. And then if it's not acceptable, throw it back and you throw out the bait again. Those that are, put them in the boat into the basket. Now be out of what?
I was going to say, sometimes you got to do spear fishing too. But sometimes spear fishing can get a little out of hand if you're not in control of yourself. You know, to where, okay, you're using a forceful manner, but to get a point across. Because that's, like you said, that's the bait they need to receive. They only know aggressive.
Right.
Not the Mexicans.
Right. Why?
Exactly.
That's why also, it's always go back to Yahushua, like you mentioned. Because when Yahushua said, Luke Luke 14 and 27. It says, "And whosoever do not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple."
Ooh, I like that scripture.
When he said you cannot be his disciple, and also there's another scripture where it says you gotta bear Yasharahla's cross daily. So that cross means you're not, as soon as you get outside, you put on a cross and you start walking on the street. And the cross symbolizes carrying the afflictions that you're gonna encounter just being in the spirit.
Yeah.
So when you're in the spirit and you have different afflictions, temptations coming at you, you gotta bear it. And each affliction that somebody deals with, it stems from your house. So each one of us being afflicted is Yahweh's cross that you bear, because he went through all of that stuff that we go through. So amount everybody who's in the spirit, you take all that and put it on your house, because he went through it all. So it's the same way. It makes sense for us to have power with Yahushua when Yahushua is reigning, because everything goes right back to him. So he's going to assimilate everything.
What was that again?
Luke 14:27.
Luke 14:27.
Y'all working on you, right? Yeah.
Oh, no. I was saying like certain things like that. Deep sea fishing.
No.
Yeah, you gotta go deep sea fishing. You gotta dig a little deeper for certain people.
Right. That's why I think we had this discussion. We had this discussion before. Like sometimes, we be at camp or whatever, and some people be coming with all these deep knowledge that they got from certain books, right? All these different things. And you're like, man. And depending on how you choose to use your bait and how you choose to deal with them, sometimes you can either just go above that and deal with something else, or you can meet them on that level. Right, but me personally, I know I'm not as astute to go and deal with all these different things, because that was not my background, my experience. So what I normally sometimes do, I say, okay, cool, Nabiyah, you may want to step in it, because I know he's experienced in some of those things, so he can go deep with them in certain areas, and then bring them back up to the level, back up above the water, so they can catch a breath of fresh air and then be filled with the Spirit. So, I see those things and I make sure I kind of weigh it out, which way should I go. But usually sometimes I usually try to meet somebody on that level to let them see what they're dealing with, the falsehood in it, and then bring them up to Yahweh's level. So I'll pass. I say, you know what? Hold on. Nabiyah, maybe this is good for you.
Kind of like the same way Satan knows every personality and know how to attack them. On the wicked side, the same way spiritually, you got to do the same thing.
Right.
Kind of identify what a person is doing.
Right.
Let me do it that way.
Right.
You can say it will not attack you if you know that you will waste.
Yeah.
So you will go based on what your desire is and what you think you can tempt you.
So we're back in Luke chapter 5, verse 11. Right? So it says, and when they had brought their ships to land, they forsook all and followed him. Read that again. And when they had brought their ships to land, they forsook all and followed him. Yeah, exactly. You catch that, because that's not easy thing to do. Especially, we know that these are the disciples, the 12, or the beginning of the 12. Right? These are 3 here, but others would come. But based on their faith and what they were, exposed to at that time with Yahushua and the spirit that was in them, they forsook all and followed Yahushua, and they became fishers of men. Right? So, like we was reading earlier about he that lose his life and gain his life, and we see that they just left all to go and be a disciple or follower of Yahushua, to do the works of Yahushua, to learn from him, so that they can also go out there and do the same things that he had now taught them to do. Right? So it's not an easy thing to just it's a few words in that sentence, but that's heavy. You know, because you have to give up certain things. It's not to say that, you know, we don't know their marital status or whatever the case may be. If they had a wife and family and all those different things, the scriptures don't speak about that. So we can't, you know, go into an assumption. But whatever life that they had as fishermen and just men, they put that to the side. So they wasn't hanging out like they used to hang out before. They wasn't doing the same things they did before. They straightway forsook all and followed Yahweh. So, you know, it's a few words, but that's a big thing to do. And, you know, your faith has to be up to just consider and drop everything and to follow the Most High Yahweh.
Let me read that scripture real quick, the one in Luke 9.
Okay.
23.
Luke 9 and 23.
We read, and he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me.
I know it sounded funny. I know Karat was laughing, but I see it happen every now and again. That people literally will go out and get a cross, a big cross, and take it and walk it down the street to show that they're bearing their cross before men. Right? Because that's all that's being done for before men.
That's why I was laughing, because the guy did that on TV, and also when Zabak, he was having a guy was actually had his cross, and he had like simulated blood coming off of him when Zabak was doing the show in New York. So I was laughing when they said that, because I seen it.
Yeah, you know. But, you know, again, like I said, these are things that's done in the sight of men. This bearing your cross is going through, like Paquad brought out, your day-to-day afflictions that you go through in following after Yahushua and the Most High. All the things that you have to give up that you probably were once a part of, and that has its associations and ties with family and friends and co-workers and this, that, and the third, that now you have to try to disassociate yourself with, and all that comes with that, you have to be able to bear it and continue on and do the work of the Most High. Some of us aren't able to do it. The majority of those who probably first hear the word and are enticed by, yo, this is the truth. This is what's up. And then the first time that they go and hear, like, yeah, man, I'm reading the Bible, you know, I'm following the teachings, you know, I understand. Man, Israel, you go, what? Like, oh, let me tell you something about them. And then everybody else start chiming in, yeah, I seen them. They did this, they did that. You like, oh, man, I don't think this is what I want. This ain't for me. Nah, this ain't for me. And you go right back into doing the same thing as you were doing before.
Right. So that's people who like they give into the struggle. They give into the defeat.
Yep.
So they not even give themselves a chance to see what they could have become 5 years down the line. You know, you could have grown like spiritually, but because you give in, you know, you just give in. It's like if you're fighting a battle, you're fighting an army, you give right in. You don't know how strong the army is until you know you fight them. They never experienced, you know, how strong they could have been, but they just drop off.
I got a scripture to link up. This is Matthew chapter 19 and verse 29. Matthew chapter 19 verse 29, it reads, everyone that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life.
Where is this at?
Matthew chapter 19 verse 29.
Let me read this. A little harsh. Luke 14 and 26.
Make that face.
Because you know, when you hear it, it seems a little harsh.
Oh yeah.
So this is Luke 14:26. If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yeah, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. Right? Read that again. If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife